Hey, in this video we're going to talk about why we have chosen to grow black walnut in our permaculture system. So black walnut will be the topic, or today's plant profile, juglones nigra, and we'll talk about some of the uses. We'll talk a little bit about tree identification and why we think it's such a great plant to grow. So in our permaculture system, on our homestead, we tend to pick plants that are multifunctional. And of course, all plants are multifunctional to a degree, but we kind of try and pick, superstars for our system, okay, for what we're trying to do here. And we can take a look at the black walnut and understand that it's not native to North Idaho. Will it grow here? Absolutely, it will grow here, and you can find black walnut that's planted in landscapes, in parks, in different places, in here in North Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, and all over North Idaho. But understand that our bioregion is conifer forest, and I mention that a lot because it's really important to design for your climate. But it doesn't mean we can't incorporate or bring in plants that will grow just fine here. Okay, maybe with a little bit of help. Okay, so the black walnut, one of the things that is consistent with black walnut, if you read all the plant profiles, USDA type plant profiles and others, is the amount of precipitation that a black walnut needs. Okay, so typically you will find that a black walnut likes about 35 inches of precipitation a year. Now we don't get that here. We don't get 35 inches. Okay, so depending on where you are in North Idaho, and again, that climate varies when you're in a kind of mountainous or foothills of the Rockies, etc. Those things are going to vary a lot. Okay, but on average, you might use figures between 20 and 30 inches of precipitation a year here in North Idaho, typically, with some outliers. Okay, so that's generally not enough, but that doesn't mean we can't grow black walnut. So, and I'm going to show you an area where we have planted black walnut where, it's a little bit more moist of an area, yet it's still well drained. Okay, so you got to kind of look for those little microclimates and then maybe try it there and maybe help it along a little bit. Okay, so let's get into some of the uses of black walnut. Here's just a quick shot of one of our tree nurseries, and this is kind of just on our back deck. And tree nursery, we do have other tree nurseries or plant nurseries. Well, our other nursery is all trees, and it's a little bit more, it's trees on a swale system, planted at 1 foot intervals, and it's kind of bulk. Up here, we've got a number of plants, from vegetables to trees to herbs, etc. Okay, so let's take a look at our black walnut little seedlings here. So these guys right here are black walnut. First thing you can notice is that it is a pinnate structured system, okay, or leaf. Okay, so for example, from my finger all the way out, that is considered one leaf, and so it has all these different leaflets. Okay, now what's interesting about black walnut is you can see here there's one here just at the end, and that would be what we would call odd pinnate. But then here on other places on black walnut, you won't find that. Okay, so you can't say this is odd or even pinnate, just pinnate. Okay, so that's kind of the leaf structure there, and then you can see the leaflet itself is kind of an oval shape. It comes to a single point there, and it has some serrations. Okay, so it's just something to notice. But of course, we don't have any big black walnut to show you as far as bark and all that. But we sure are loving this plant. And again, in this case, we've just got our little containers here with our tree nursery, and we've got a bunch more in another nursery, like I said, on swale. And then now I'm going to show you where we are growing it in our pig paddocks. Okay, let's talk about some of the uses. Now, I apologize for the noise. I'm in our pig paddocks, and we've got pigs around me, and they're interested to know what I'm doing. Okay, so some of the uses of black walnut. Number one, it's a great timber. Okay, it's a great timber tree, especially for smaller, more upscale applications, right? It's the most famous use for black walnut, whenever somebody starts talking about black walnut, is gun stocks, and that's based on the color and what they call figure, so the waviness of the grain and just the beautiful textures and that kind of thing that you can get from black walnut. So of course it's valuable in that respect, and you find it in veneers on expensive cars and that kind of thing. So it's valued for its timber value, okay, and it's a very dense hardwood, rot resistant. Okay, I think it would not be the best use, but if you had a huge walnut grove, it would have high BTUs. Okay, so you could be used as a firewood, for example, if you had excess black walnut and or trees down or whatever. So it could absolutely be used for that, and I'm sure that in the East Coast, where it's native, there's probably some people doing that, and that would make sense for certain people's systems. It is an extremely great wildlife food, right? So it produces all these black walnuts, and like squirrels and other wildlife would obviously eat that mast. Okay, all right. And now one of the major reasons why we're growing black walnut here is that we want to integrate it into our silvo-pasture system. Okay, so here we have a silvo-pasture system where we raise sheep and pigs, and we want to transition to tree crops. Okay, so black walnut is going to be a piece of that, along with chestnut, mulberry, hazelnut, apple, and some other of these kind of staple fruits that do well here in North Idaho. Okay, so that is a major use for us. We want to reduce our dependency on the feed store. We want to reduce our use of annual grains, basically. Okay, we'll probably not be able to get rid of them and totally. Who knows? Maybe we can someday, but that's really not what we're planning. But we want to major supplementation, or even where the grains become a minor part of our tree cropped silvopasture system, where we're feeding the pigs. All right, and that's great. So fodder, the black walnut for fodder. Obviously, it's a food for humans. Okay, and it has a really wonderful nutritional profile. It has also historically been, and not even just historically, even in present times, has been used medicinally. Okay, but both the the husk, the hull itself, and of course the nut itself. All right, famed for its antifungal and anti-inflammatory properties. High nutritional profile. So that's awesome. And think about the production of it. Once you get a black walnut producing, it produces just tons of nuts in the right system, and so that would be awesome for food and medicinal properties. Okay, a lot of people even tap black walnut for syrup, right? So they'll tap it much like they would tap a sugar maple or birch tree for syrup, that kind of thing. So it's awesome for that. And dyes. Native Americans used it for dyes. People today use it for dyes, and again, a lot of Native Americans used it medicinally as well. All right, so all these uses, and so I want to just show you real quick is just one of the black walnuts we have planted in our system. We have different paddocks here that obviously integrate. You can see behind me lots of trees in these systems, a lot of native trees, but we also have black walnut and apple and chestnut and hazelnut and mulberry. Okay, here's one of our black walnut trees planted here in our system, our silvopasture system. Now, one thing I want you to notice is, again, we're a conifer forest, and this black walnut is native to deciduous forests on the East Coast. It's certainly cold hardy enough and all that, so that's not the point that I'm trying to make. But the water. So let's talk about precipitation. This is basically a cedar grove. Okay, so in North Idaho, this would be considered a moister site, and you can see this little area right here is more of a drainage, And so you can see, you know, kind of probably why I planted black walnut right there, next to the drainage. Now besides this last year, we didn't get a lot of water that flowed through here, but we diverted a bunch of water. So for several weeks, we had basically a little stream going through here, and we just put a check dam after check dam after check dam to slow spread and sink this water. And so what we're trying to do basically is take our, you know, 25, 28 inch a year precipitation and provide this plant and others with an environment that may seem like it's more like 35 inch